No, you don't have to say those words again. Oh no. And you don't have to. No, you don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember it all. Yeah, you tore it apart down to every last piece. Yeah, a souvenir, another story to tell. And I gotta know how to find happiness in the wrong place. 'Cause it never ends, it's there in all ways. It's evident you never change for our sake. Baby, I can't just say we're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. If you're gonna take it all, then baby, don't waste it. You only want it if you know you're gonna break it. Just another souvenir for the take, yeah. Just take it. Baby, just say yeah. No, you don't have to say those words again. Oh no. And you don't have to. No, you don't have to go and explain yourself, 'cause I ain't gonna listen. Yeah, all you wanted was a souvenir to remember the fall. To go and tell your friends you were there for it all. A souvenir, just a little postcard for the road. And I just gotta know it never ends. It's there in all ways. It's evident you never change for our sake. Baby, I can't just say we're falling now. Your little black book ran out of pages. 'Cause if you're gonna take it all, then baby, don't waste it. You only want it if you know you're gonna break it. Just another souvenir for the take, yeah. Just take it. Baby, just say yeah. Just another souvenir for the road. That's the way it goes. Just take it. Baby, just say yeah.
It all comes down to this. 100 laps, 150 miles, and America's home for racing. Just a fraction of what the big boys will be racing on Sunday night. 39 spots left for 47 drivers to wrestle for under the lights tonight. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to FTF.GG's coverage of the 8th and final race for round 1 of the 2022 eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series, live from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway from Concord, North Carolina. Glad to have you along for the ride, everybody. Jacob Hitz, Blake McCandless is down on pit road. I screwed all of that up. James Pike and Caleb Hoffman alongside me. It feels like it's been a month since we've done a race together, guys, but here we are, the last race of the season, and the pressure's on now. There are 8 drivers currently, James, on the outside looking in.
Well, let's be clear, it's the last race of the first half of the season, so we're not totally done once we finish up tonight at Charlotte, but we do take a bit of a break. We're not racing again until July, and when we get back to it in July, we're going to have 2 splits, 70 drivers, 35 drivers per race. So the cut, as it were, second round after a golf tournament is probably the best analogy here, happens tonight. And for some drivers, their road to the Coke Series will continue, or others will have to regroup and try again in the spring of 2023.
More than 1,000 drivers on the outside looking in as it is already with this top 70. Caleb, we're under the lights tonight, so this track going to have a lot of grip, and these trucks, they're going to be on rails tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you got to think, again, like you said, this is it. Tonight, we're whittling it down to the top 70 drivers, and we've had relatively clean races all year outside of Kansas 2 weeks ago. But you got to think with, everything on the line, are you really going to see that same trend continue? I think we're going to see some pretty wild racing tonight.
Qualifying going on as we speak here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's take a quick look here at the points, give you the lay of the land, who's in, who's on the bubble, and who is out. We'll get to those in a couple of moments, but really no surprise. A lot of those guys that are in the top split, well, they're already locked in. Guys like Seth the Merchant and Tucker Minter. Logitech G Alta C Sports, they have been forced to be reckoned with here through these first 7 races this season.
We saw them have speed in the first round of the qualifying series last year, and then it didn't really translate to the contender series. But here's a good look at the road, or rather the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series points here. And these are accumulated across all splits. So you may not necessarily see these drivers in our broadcast the second split tonight, but they've been competing alongside the drivers in second split or third split, fourth split, all that sort of stuff. Lots of fun there. So here's a look at everybody through about, call it 25th. Some drivers are okay with the drop. You're starting to see people get in, and Jake, you can tell a little bit more about the color code, but effectively what we're looking at is 40-ish drivers fighting for the last 30 spots in the top 70.
Green, you're good. You're locked in. You don't even have to show up tonight. You are locked in. If you're yellow, that means you could potentially fall out of the top 70 or get into the top 70 if you're on the outside of the top 70 already. That's the bubble spot. P70, Landon Huffman, is the last seat at the table. If you're in 71st, no matter how close it is on points, you're out. You're done. Corey Carpenter, there in red, in 72nd. He is the first driver out. He will not have a chance to race his way into the top 70, even though he's only 4 back to the guy who's in 71st. And Drew Parker, Derek Lemke, the last 2 in the field that have a shot of making it to the next round, to the top 70, where we take these trucks to a whole bunch of racetracks, Mid-Ohio, Lucas Oil Raceway, Pocono, Bristol Dirt, and the like. Trucks gridding as we speak. Let's go down through and take a look at our starting lineup. Christopher Hill lines up in position number 1. Max Brady will line up to his outside in the 4 machine. Agno Phillip and Joey Brown line up 3rd and 4th. Wyatt Tinsley, we saw him win at Dover. Blake Bottom starts to his outside. Mitchell Hunt, Cody Terlindi, 7th and 8th. Eddie Kerner and Garrison Hogan, 2 drivers that need a good finish to stay in. Round out our top 10, James.
Starting 11th on the grid, you've got Liam Sheen. To his outside will be Brandon Houth in 12th. Some drivers that have a chance, some drivers that don't here at 11th through 20th. Nathan Jurgensen and Barrett Bonner make up row 7th. 15th on the grid is Michael Bumgarner, joined on the outside, and 16th by Connor Shong. Christopher Cornell starts in the 17th position. 18th on the grid belongs to Caden Rush. Clayton Hoffman and Chris Wilhite round out the top 20. Caleb Hoffman.
Yeah, we'll take a look on back here. You see some green, yellow, and red. Kevin King and Ryan Doucette line up next to each other in row 11. Then we're going to look back to Jared Torres and Jeremy Davis, who is unfortunately out of the running. We got Connor Horn in row 13 right next to James Wenzel. Then we got Matt Rucci and Adam Kabat with Christian Peterson and Justin Levine in row 15.
The last 5, Kevin Champagne, Landon Mills, they're both out. Tommy Gossett trying to fight his way in. Daniel Eberhardt, he's already locked. And Shane Williamson, shotgun in the field. And for Williamson, in points right now, he sits P41 with the drop, trying to finish the task at hand and get himself into the big show. So the field will roll off. We get 1 lap of pacing before we get the green flag. I mentioned Blake McCandless a little while ago. He is helping us with the 3rd split. We'll go to him throughout the night whenever he has something for us to hit. And we'll go to him, and he'll fill us in as time goes on. Final thoughts, gentlemen, before we get the green flag.
Well, clearly, let's introduce Charlotte Motor Speedway to our audience before we go. Green flag racing. This is a 1.5 mile, 2.414 kilometer quad oval that opened in 1960. 24 degrees of banking in the corners, 5 degrees of banking on the straights. And the in-sim time this evening is May 28, 2022. This upcoming Saturday, around 7:20 p.m. local time. Air temp is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp is 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are headed to the southeast at 6 miles an hour, and humidity is 50%. All of those most likely will drop as the sun sets, so this track should grip up as we roll into the evening. The question for these drivers, Jacob, will be how much?
Field coming around through 3 and 4 behind the pace car. Glad you're watching here on FTF.GG for the 2nd split of the 1st round of the last race of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Again, round 1, race 8. Christopher Hill's on the gas, and we are underway from Charlotte. Christopher Hill will lead lap number 1. The top 3 all green. Then you've got Brown, Joey Brown on the outside looking in. He's going to take over that 3rd spot. Wyatt Tinsley, even with the win, still not locked in. He rounds out the top 5 off 2.
Most importantly, look at how strung out these top 10 are and how they just about immediately went to single file racing. Of course, as I say that, Wyatt Tinsley goes underneath Agnew Phillip to try and get the 3rd spot. But you can see it in the corners here. Everybody within really the top 15 already down to single file racing, trying to catch the draft from the trunks ahead of them. And it underscores the importance of momentum in these machines. You have to keep the motor wound up in the 6,000 to 7,000 RPM range if you want to keep your lap times down.
And Wyatt Tinsley, with that win, he's still 63rd with the drop. So he is very close to that cutting floor. He needs a good finish tonight. So far, a nice good start. He sits in position number 4. First side-by-side battle on the racetrack right now. We got to drift our way back just a little bit. It's single file throughout the top 10. That first side-by-side battle isn't for 18th.
Yeah, and looking right now, just early impressions, everybody, as you said, has, really strung out, just trying to keep the motor wound up. Going to be interesting, I think, to see how passing develops, because I saw right off turn 4, Max Brady just got lost the nose a little bit, got tight off the corner and washed up the racetrack. It's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be how guys try to prioritize passing, just making sure that, they stay clean, just try to capitalize on others' mistakes.
Around the racetrack we continue to go, and of course as the sun goes down, like we mentioned in pre-race, the grip on this racetrack is just going to increase for these drivers around the racetrack, and really everybody's just kind of biding their time right now.
Everybody here to click off laps and get us towards the end, although you go a little bit further back in the field, you might not necessarily think that. Really good battle between Connor Schong, Chris Wilhite, Chris Cornell, and then you slide back to just after 20th position. James Wentzel, Connor Horn, Justin Levine, Adam Cabot, all fighting for position. That's really where your side-by-side battles are at the moment.
And Adam Cabot, of course, the Monday Night Racing champion, he's 93rd in points, out of the chance for him to make his way into the top 70 in points. But still trying to give his best effort here. Leaders back to turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, still monitoring here. I mean, looking at the track temp right now, reading at about 79 degrees, and you got to think that's, really cool for a track that, is only going to get colder as we get into the night. You got to think, will that outside lane, start to develop? We see a few guys that are, testing those waters a little bit with Chris Wilhite, who was mentioned earlier in 17th right now, just completed a pass on Caden Rush using that outside lane. So really interested to see if that continues to develop as the temps get cooler on this racetrack, or if we're really just going to, try to sit in this single file formation that we got going on right now.
Looks like Joey Brown is trying to get to the back door of Max Brady and maybe contest him a little bit for the second position. He hasn't quite been able to get by that Ford machine, but he's kind of licking his chops right now, sitting in P3.
Just waiting for his moment, but then again, so many of these drivers are, and there's not too much pressure being applied amongst our front, just call it really 10. I would say, because they all know that this is a race that you don't win on lap 9 of 100. This is a race that you win on pit road with your pit stop in the middle of this thing. And this is a race that you win with tire management, especially if we get a long green flag run. So I think a lot of these drivers up front, at least for now, playing the long game. But again, the biggest key this evening, look at the ticker on the left-hand side of your screen and watch those drivers in yellow in relation to everything going on. They're the ones that are not locked in, but could find themselves in the top 70 by the end of the night.
And the one in biggest danger right now, it's Connor Horn. Where is he? 28th. Horn entered tonight 66th with the drop. So he needs to have a pretty solid run to move on to the next round. He's got himself on very thin ice. Even if it's only 11 laps in, you got to wonder if maybe panic mode is starting to set in for him toward the back of the field, or if he knows his truck's better on the long run and he'll get his way through the field.
Yeah, and James, you brought up a really great point. Talking about pit stops again, not a race won on lap 11. That's how we've seen these races won all year. It's just these long green flag runs. It's going to come down to that strategy element. So you got to think right now, everybody's come into tonight with that set strategy. And, that changes depending on, how the yellow flags fall your way and whatnot. But you got to think right now, are these guys going to try to, maybe run a little easier, just trying to conserve tires, conserve fuel, so that they can work whatever strategy they have for the rest of the night.
Joey Brown around the outside for position number 2, and he's got the spot. So Joey Brown makes the pass work on the outside, and he takes over that second position just because he's on the outside permanently for the top 70. Doesn't mean he can't go out there and just walk away and win this thing.
It's interesting how if you're outside of the top 70 and mathematically you don't have a chance, how your mindset really begins to mirror those who are also already mathematically locked in, because you don't really have anything else to race for. You're not going to be racing when we get back to it in July and we get going with the second round of this eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car, where we start round number 2. You can just go for it here and try and get the glory and win a broadcasted race, which doesn't necessarily happen all that often. So for somebody like Joey Brown, this is equally as big of an opportunity as it would be for a Chris Hill or a Max Brady.
Let's check in now with our 4th member of the broadcast team. He's over covering third split, Blake McCandless. How we doing?
We're doing good, Jacob. Thanks for having me. Right now in third split, as you guys well know, it is not just the top two splits, although they get a lot of the glory here in this first round of this qualifying series. It is there's a lot left to be determined in this third split as well. We, in particular, have a lot of drivers that are right around that cut line. Drivers like Joseph Galata, 71st, 10 points outside looking in. Timmy Pacioli, 23 points out. We have him in this race. A lot of drivers who are looking to get their way in. Drivers like David Schildhaus, who are just above the cut line right now. Your top 10 in here, Timmy Holmes, Matt for Kappa, they're both locked in. Johnny Avila, Alex Bergeron, who is right outside. That's good if you're a Bergeron fan who's on the outside looking in. Dylan C. Jones, Thomas Keene, Daniel Nanny, Timmy Pacioli, David Schildhaus in ninth, and James Holzer rounding out your top 10. So about 10 or 15 or so drivers that are still left in contention. Plenty that are locked in and plenty that are on the way out and just running through this end of the year. But we'll be keeping you on tap for everything that's happening in third split and perhaps beyond here as we continue to wrap up this exciting conclusion to round number one.
Really seems like that third split is the place to be right now as far as drivers that are on the cut line and who aren't. You know, we've got a few in this one, but it is hopping mad in that third split. A lot of guys right on that bubble trying to fight their way in. Nonetheless, about the battle for third, Wyatt Tinsley, he's somebody that's on the bubble trying to get by this machine of Max Brady.
Tinsley trying to work his way up. Brady sliding back a little bit. Joey Brown got around him a few laps ago, and now the danger, I think, for Max Brady is if you get stuck up top, given how strong that inside line has been, and given how little we've seen drivers run up on that high lane or even the middle groove, unless they are forced too wide. How about that, though? Big move just behind Wyatt Tinsley. Agnell Phillip went right to the bottom, entering turn 3 and tried to make it a battle, and he broke up the fight between Brady and Tinsley, and for a moment was alongside Tinsley, but now here comes Blake Bottoms, Agnell Phillips inside.
That was very scary, I'm sure, for Wyatt Tinsley. Here comes Bottoms, and for Bottoms, he currently sits in points right now, 39th with the drop. He's in pretty good condition, all things considered, but he can't completely just put it around too. He needs to have a solid finish. That battle for third looks like Tinsley's going to wrap it up here off 4.
Really close call for Wyatt Tinsley these last few laps, actually. Just, riding along with them, watching this truck, how it's handling. It's, in the corners, just extremely loose. Even when he's on this high, kind of, not preferred lane, but, where your momentum's picked up. I mean, the truck is still very visibly loose. So a really gutsy pass there to get by Max Brady. And you got to think in Wyatt Tinsley's mind right now, what's one spot going to mean for you right now in lap 20? It's just, you got to think it's more about keeping yourself in it at the end of this thing. So really, really gutsy by Wyatt Tinsley there.
20 laps complete, and oh, look out, Agnell Phillip almost put Blake Bottoms. No, that was Phillip that almost got put in the grass by Max Brady. Coming down through the tri-oval, Max Brady is trying to hold everybody at bay. He's already locked in, but man, oh man, he's driving kind of like he's just burned the tires up already, just 20 laps in.
I mean, Phillips showed the nose, and Max Brady was having absolutely none of it. Good thing we're racing on turf here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Fun fact, it's not grass there in the infield. It's turf with a specially designed compound underneath to grab tires and ultimately slow cars down if they spin down there. It was a first when it was introduced a few years ago throughout the whole of NASCAR. So it's a little bit different down there compared to everywhere else we go to, and sometimes does save a few, and I have seen it in real life, save a few vehicles from getting completely torn to pieces. Remember how the nose would dig in and grab a splitter and tear up somebody's front end? That doesn't happen with the turf here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as Brady now goes to the inside, but Phillip will make the move, and Agnell Phillip now into 4th.
And here comes Blake Bottoms. He drops to the bottom, and he wants to get by Max Brady here as well. Mitchell Hunt is in the hunt there as well, 2 for 2 with the puns. And you got Cody Terlindi right behind him as well, kind of just waiting in the wings. But here comes Hunt, trying to go to the outside now, Bottoms.
Yeah, that was some masterful wordplay there. Looking right now, I mean, Blake Bottoms was wound up on the outside, just had to get off the throttle there, and you can just see kind of the compound effect that that's now had. Not only is he now stuck behind Max Brady, but he's going to, get stuck behind guys like Mitchell Hunt and Cody Terlind on the outside. As you see right here, Max
Whoa.
Brady gets a little loose, almost washed up in front of the 35 truck right there.
And for Bottoms, he's probably really worried right now because remember, he's somebody that, a bad run may not be the end of the day for him, but it won't help his fight to get into the top 70. And Max Brady is making life a little bit difficult for Blake Bottoms right now as here comes Garrison Hogan in that 27 to the bottom.
So we've seen how aggressive Max Brady has been in blocking and defending his position. And my question to you all is, if you're Wyatt Tinsley, if you're Blake Bottoms, if you're Garrison Hogan and Eddie Kerner or Liam Sheen, anybody sort of in this group here,
whoa,
geez, Max Brady just about chopped the nose off of, I believe that might have been Garrison Hogan. There may have actually been contact as I look at it, but there was actually. I at least I'm seeing a little bit of contact, a little bit of right front damage on Garrison Hogan's machine. He was sideways coming off the corner, but I think that only reinforces the question that I was about to ask was, if you see Max Brady racing like that, then if you're on the bubble and you're not locked in, does that change the way you race around him to try and preserve your truck and your finish?
No, I'm nervous as all get out. And here comes Bottoms on the inside, just trying to get by this Ford machine. And I mean, just please go. Don't get anywhere near him.
Yeah, it's so tough because, Max Brady right now obviously is not handling well, but you see right there on the outside just having that extra bit of momentum as he gets loose again off the corner. It was helping him until that happened right there, and now the momentum shifted back down to the inside, and that opens the door for Garrison Hogan, who can now hopefully complete this pass without any contact with that Ford machine.
Now side by side with Garrison Hogan, Eddie Kerner right behind these guys. Kerner also not officially locked in his position right now for Kerner, 47th without the drop. So he's not looking too bad, but it's a good finish tonight. Would certainly punctuate his way into the top 70 and perhaps give him that momentum going into the next round. Still side by side just up ahead, and here comes Kerner sending it to the inside of Brady.
As Max Brady continues to fall back, for most of these drivers that aren't necessarily locked in, it's not really a tough game you have to play tonight. Just don't end up with a bad finish. Don't get caught up in somebody else's wreck. Don't wreck yourself, and you stand a good chance of advancing to round two. The only person, like you said earlier, Jacob Hitz, that we need to keep an eye on is Connor Horn, who is now only up to 26th. Started 25th, so he's down one from where he was when we got going earlier this evening. But he's the kind of person you may have to worry about just on points, given the way things are setting up. But everybody else, don't wreck, you're probably in good shape.
Joey Brown has not run away yet. Or Christopher Hill hasn't run away from Joey Brown, let's put it that way. He stayed right in the tire tracks, and that last time by was about a 10th quicker than our race leader. And he is looking to try and make his way to the race lead, even though he's already on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and down the backstretch there, Eddie Kerner just made a wild move on Max Brady for the 9th position. They were both, nose to tail on the backstretch, and Kerner dipped that truck down to the inside lane, and really a gutsy move. You got to think right now with how these tires are kind of wearing out as you see pit stops beginning, it's not only about racing whoever's around you, it's about racing the track as well. I mean, Charlotte is very underrated when it comes to transitions from banking to straightaways, so that's really something to watch here as we get into green flag pit stops.
Jeremy Davis already out of the top 70 and locked out. He comes onto pit road. So this may open the door for strategy. They have on pit road 4 sets of tires. So maybe we're in a window to get some tires, but I would think fuel-wise they'd be able to make it a couple more laps.
Potentially, but if you're trying to two-stop this race, you're coming in right about now. I don't think we're going to see that from a lot of drivers. I think, if anything, we're going to see drivers either make one stop and then splash at the end if they need fuel, or try and go to lap 50 and just one-stop this outright. We'll see how it plays out, but Jeremy Davis clearly looking for something in the ballpark of a two-stop race.
"32 laps are complete First battle on the racetrack, Garrison Hogan and Blake Bottom side by side for position number 7 here coming up off the corner.
Yeah, and right now you got to think, going back to pit road strategy, if you're on a 2-stop strategy or a 1-stop strategy for that matter, you gotta factor in your head right now what do you think is going to happen at the end of this race? Because there are guys like Wyatt Tinsley who's in 3rd right now, Garrison Hogan, Blake Bottoms, all of the above, all these guys that are right on that bubble. Are they going to do anything that's going to affect the outcome of this race in terms of cautions or yellows? So you really got to be thinking about that later on when you're making these decisions. Right now it's just all about what you think is going to happen as we get to the conclusion of this race.
Everybody pretty single file out. I'm impressed we've made it as long as we have. Oh, trouble! Back straight away. Just as I say it, Christopher Cornell is around and into the inside wall. Caution is out for the first time tonight. And the 12 of Christopher Cornell got loose. Well, the truck in front of him, Barrett Bonner, got loose, and then Ryan Doucette finished him off. We'll get a replay, but nonetheless, 35 laps in, and we're under caution. The Jacob Hits jinx continues here tonight. The replay.
I was about to say perfect, and yeah, they just checked up there. I think it looks like Cornell was trying to check up to avoid Barrett Bonner, who got loose off the corner, and so he slid up the racetrack to try and not run over Bonner, and instead got run over by Ryan Doucette, who didn't really have much of anywhere to go. So just a chain reaction stack up there, an unfortunate break for Christopher Cornell. But yes, first yellow flag of the evening, and yeah, I mean, hey, better you pull the commentator's curse in a qualifying series race than a coach series race, and better that you do it once instead of twice, like I have this season. So you're still coming out on top here, Hits, regardless of whether or not you definitely just pulled a commentator's curse there.
I still learn from the best in Evan Pasoko, so.
That's Pasako to you, sir.
Well, all right. Pit stops. Pit road is a very, very, very busy place, and I think everybody is going to be taking tires here. And the only guy that's staying out, Jeremy B. Davis. Why? He already pitted and he's a lap down. Everybody else, 34 trucks, are on pit road getting service right now, and we'll see who wins the race off of pit road. And I would expect here, guys, the same call for tires and fuel, as it looks like we had a truck. That's the 20 of Eddie Kerner. He had a backup in his stall, overshot it just a little bit. The race off pit road goes to the 11 of Christopher Hill. Then it's Joey Brown, Wyatt Tinsley, Agnell Phillip, Mitchell Hunt, your top 5. And how about this? Perfect timing. Blake McCandless, we've got a caution in 3rd split.
Just in the midst of green flag pit stops, it looked like a little bit of contact between Dylan Naney and Dylan C. Jones. A little bit of Daniel on Dylan action there, getting off of turn 2. Looks like Pacioli got a little bit of damage to that. That was right in front of David Schildhouse. He misses all of that calamity. But again, truck getting loose off of turn number 2, and that's not going to help out Pacioli there, who is definitely going to have some front end damage. Probably going to have to take some tape off of that Toyota. So not going to help that 89 truck, and Pacioli, who needs a run tonight to get himself in right now. Looking on the outside, 23 points back of the cut. He's going to need some luck now at this point to try and get into the top 70.
We'll step aside and go to a break. Thanks, Blake. 37 laps are complete here as they cross the start-finish line. Christopher Hill is your race leader. We're back after this here on FTF.GG. Back here on FTF.GG for this, the last race of the first round of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing Series season. Christopher Hill leads as we're wrapping up our first caution flag of the night. Jacob Pitts, James Pike, Caleb Hoffman here with you for split number 2. Blake McCandless is over covering split number 3. They're also under caution, about a lap away from getting the restart in that split. We'll check in with them in a little while. Oh, by the way, the Phillies just scored and it's 4-0. Woo! Let's go! They need it because their bullpen, I don't want to talk about it. Christopher Hill and Joey Brown will lead us down to the restart. Pace car is in, 39 laps complete. Green flag. That caution certainly seemed to have helped the driver, the Ford Max Brady. He lines up P7, and right to the inside he goes of Garrison Hogan as they fan out off turn 2.
I think you're right. This definitely was a big break for Max Brady because he'd been struggling with the handling on his car, their truck rather. The other thing worth noting here is they go nuts, especially towards, we'll call it about 10th, 15th on corner exit there. You see everybody fanning here out of turn 4. This now split this race where you can't really make it to the end. And I think we are likely going to now see a 2-stop race. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these drivers end up splitting this final run, which would put them on pit road somewhere in the ballpark of about lap 70-ish or so by my math.
Just have to wait and see what these crews have cooking strategy-wise. Plenty of drivers in this field have crew chiefs and spotters in the session to help them make the calls as time goes on. For a side-by-side battle, it's for P7. Blake Bottoms gets by Garrison Hogan, and he has been on the back pedal since the restart.
It's really just crazy, you know, with these fresh tires, just how the racing as a whole has just completely changed. You know, at the end of that run, the tires were worn down. These trucks were not handling well. There, you know, so much throttle control, just making sure that you know, weren't about to wreck yourself and, you know, take other trucks out with you. And now it's completely changed to we're drafting, you know, all momentum based, just absolutely wild racing going on right now. And you see a lot of guys on this restart, you know, as this run gets strung out, just really desperate on these early few laps because you can make up position just in bunches. And you see right now there are just so many guys that are trying to be aggressive with it. Not so much up front, but when you get to the back of the field, you start to see a lot of side-by-side, lots of aggressive moves being made.
Clayton Hoffman, one of them, he just dropped down, put the left side tires down in the turf going into turn number 1, and he will take the spot away from Caden Rush. Caden Rush, we haven't talked much about him. He is on the outside looking in and will stay there. He's got some pressure from Nathan Jurgensen right behind. Jurgensen, he is in the danger zone a little bit, 54th with the drop.
Beginning to worry a little bit just about Tommy Gossett. You look down at some of the names in the 20s in yellow. Michael Bumgarner, Eddie Kerner, Connor Horn, all drivers that need good finishes. Even Chris Wilhite as well back there. They're the group that really needs to step it up and find a few positions just to feel a little bit safer. And Shane Williamson in particular really needs something here to make sure he doesn't end up in limbo, waiting to see how the chips fall and timing and scoring and points fall at the end of this race.
Well, you really have to keep in mind the fact that, well, Horn and Wilhite are within the last 10 spots of being safe. Horn 66th coming in, Wilhite 69th. So 2 bad runs from them, and they could be on the outside looking in depending on how the guys behind them race. And Shane Williamson, you talk about him, he is 41st with the drop, but he definitely needs to gain some spots early on. Well, before this thing's said and done in this one. And you know, Blake had talked about the guys on the outside looking in that are in this third split and were somewhat of an impact. Joseph Galata, Timmy Pascioli among them as well. David Schulthouse, who's toward that cut line in 61st with the drop.
And right now, looking on the backstretch, we have a very racy battle right now. It's died down just a little bit for the time being, but Kevin King on back to about Ryan Doucette, they're just all over each other right now for position. And you notice on your ticker right there that, most of these guys are names in yellow. They want nothing other than to get around these guys just to, make sure that they're the ones that are getting into this top 70. And, you can absolutely feel the intensity picking up, just around halfway. It's starting to get racy in the mid-pack.
These guys are still pretty close to each other, and whoa, Eddie Kerner, I saw that thing turn to the right coming off turn number 4. Wasn't quite sure where he was going. That thing was out of control. He was in the top 10. He's now 23rd.
Eddie needs positions. Eddie needs, I would almost argue, a little bit of help here. I don't think he'd mind if this group here just behind Kevin King got into it. James Wenzel, Daniel Eberhardt, Ryan Doucette, Liam Sheen, Tommy Gossett. You've got some folks that are already going to be headed on to round 2 in this eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series for 2022. So Kerner needs to go. He also wouldn't mind somebody else stepping out of line and getting loose just the same.
Man, and the pack in front of them is really heated up again. Eberhardt in this. Wenzel is there. Doucette, Liam Sheen, Tommy Gossett, all in the thick of it, just slugging it out from 13th on back. As they are side by side, Wenzel on the outside, Eberhardt on the inside. Remember, Eberhardt and Wenzel, well, they're both locked in to the top 70. Almost had a moment there. 26 of Michael Baumgartner behind these guys. Whoa, and another one there off turn 2. Chris Wilhite got a little loosey-goosey coming off the corner.
And those are both drivers that are in the yellow per the ticker. So maybe the pressure's getting to them hits a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. We are past halfway in this race. Let's quickly run through our iRacing Midway race break. 51 down, 49 to go. This iRacing Midway race break brought to you by iRacing. iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing. All from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and more. Christopher Hill continues to lead, and he has got a 1.1 second lead over Joey Brown in second. Wyatt Tinsley sits in third. Mitchell Hunt in fourth. Max Brady rounds out the top 5. Then it's Agnell Phillip, Blake Bottoms, Cody Terlindi, Garrison Hogan, and Clayton Hoffman rounding out the top 10, James.
Sitting in the 11th position is Nathan Jurgensen. Caden Rush was 12th. Kevin King 13th. James Wenzel sits in the 14th position. 15th belongs to Daniel Eberhardt. Ryan Doucette currently holds 16th. 17th is where you'll find Liam Sheen. Brandon Howe running in the 18th position. 19th belongs to Tommy Gossett and Connor Shong in 20th.
And we look at 21st on back. Currently,
Caleb, hold on. We have some developments, breaking developments. I wish we had breaking news music that we can play here. Blake McCandless in third split, rather. Understand we had a big moment.
We certainly had a big moment. James Holzer had a wheel issue. He went full wheel lock to the left, parked it at the exit of turn 4, and a number of drivers get caught up in that. We had Justin Botello get caught up in it. Of course, he is not eligible, or he's already been eliminated. Dylan C. Jones, Brian Blackford was destroyed in that caution. Daniel Nanny again involved in that one. Eric Royce. I believe Nick Olson was able to avoid all trouble. However, he may have gotten a speeding penalty going down pit road. So about 6 or 7 trucks here in third split, many of them with points implications, especially Brian Blackford. That is going to be something that we'll have to watch moving forward here on lap 54.
49th with the drop. Brian Blackford might be fighting for his eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series life by the end of the night. If he can get that truck back out there, every position matters. Back to Caleb Hoffman for our roundup with 21st on back.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a little bit of shakeup. Eddie Kerner worked his way inside the top 20. We got Connor Shong 21st, Barrett Bonner in the 22nd position. Michael Baumgartner in 23rd. Connor Horn is in 24th. I got you. Then Christian Peterson, Jared Torres, Justin Levine all in the thick of it right now from 25th to 27th. Then we got Chris Wilhite and Adam Cabot in 28th and 29th. Then we got Landon Mills rounding out your top 30.
Oh, trouble, turn 3. 2 trucks around, into the grass. Jared Torres is one, back up into the racing line. We're still green. Justin Levine is the other. We are still green for the time being. Another one slow off turn 4. That's the 25 of Daniel Eberhardt. 2 for the price of 1, and we stay green. Daniel Eberhardt called somebody a clown on the radio. I'm not sure who it was.
It was Liam Sheen. It was Liam Sheen, Jacob. Liam Sheen got in the back of Daniel Eberhardt on the exit of turn 4, and that's what turned Eberhardt sideways. He lost a ton of track position, so I get why Daniel Eberhardt might be a little bit bad. I know he didn't like that contact, as we'll see the replay here of everything that happened. This is the incident down on the back straightaway in turn 3 that you saw, Jacob, first. Then you look a little bit further up on the frame. I don't know if we'll be able to pull to it immediately, but we'll get another look and see the contact between Sheen and Daniel Eberhardt right here in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Eberhardt with the nice drift there off the corner, avoids the pit road wall and continues. The problem is that he's a little bit further back now than he was, currently running in the 33rd position. Also, another note, the incident that Blake McCandless talked about with James Holzer, I had an eye on David Schildhouse's perspective. That happened right in front of David. So, bit of a heart stopper for him. Had to get on the brakes a little bit, but he's still rolling along, currently P7.
Eberhardt brings it to pit road, and that replay didn't capture how close he was to hitting the pit barrels head on. That was mighty close. Let's finish this halfway break that's taken 10 laps. Christopher Cornell's in 30th, Shane Williamson in 31st, Justin Levine now 32nd, Jeremy B. Davis 33rd, Jared Torres now 34th, and Daniel Eberhardt on pit road, 1 lap down. That's your iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing. With over 200,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from, iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. Christopher Hill leads this race, but Joey Brown, he's got the fishing pole out. It was 1.1 seconds. The gap was when we started that look through the field. It's now underneath half a second.
Yeah, and looking through the field right now, that turn 3 collision really started to bunch things up. We got guys that are being really aggressive. You see right there at the top of your screen, Kevin Champagne right there trying to make 3 wide work.
Oof. I actually saw smoke. Matt Rucci was sliding around up off the corner. There's a truck off the pace. That's the 10 of Kevin King, and he was the one that was smoking. He got run over by Ryan Doucette coming off turn 2. We're still green. We're still rolling, but Caleb, it's just a minefield out there.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys are just, with 38 laps to go, you can really feel it right now. I mean, all these guys that are in yellow, it's really coming down to the thick of it right now, and you can see it just in how aggressive this race has gotten so quickly. I mean, we saw earlier it was spread out single file, and now you look at your mid-pack and it's almost completely unrecognizable from what we had earlier. You got guys that are, venturing up to the middle lane, and as I was saying earlier with Kevin Champagne, venturing up to the high lane just to try to get something going, trying to keep that momentum up, put your truck where others aren't, and keep that engine wound up. Hope that you can make a pass with it.
Brandon Hoff got the walk coming off turn number 4. He's still good. Lost a spot to James Wenzel. But other than that, he keeps it on rolling. Got a couple of guys in the back of the field that are just sliding for dear life. Christopher Cornell, who brought out that first caution, is one of them. As we are 64 laps complete here from Charlotte, turning our heads back to the lead for a moment. Christopher Hill continues to lead. Joey Brown, he's on the outside looking in. He sits in this second spot, and he is still closing in the gap. He's almost a tenth a lap quicker.
Brown is closing in, but I think we'd be remiss not to give a call to Wyatt Tinsley in the 3rd spot, who is the highest running of our drivers, not yet already locked into round 2. And this is the kind of performance that you're looking for if your driver in this position is Max Brady's going to come down pit road here on lap 66. But just a clean, solid run. Hasn't really had to fight too much with anybody else, says Wyatt Tinsley, and he's been consistently top 5 all night long. Keep this up for another 35 laps, and I think Wyatt Tinsley is going to be able to feel very good about his position with regards to...
They are 3 wide off turn 2, James, and I thought Ryan Doucette was going to end Connor Horn's championship hopes right there. He was in the middle 3 wide and dirt tracking that thing through turn 2. And I thought for sure he was going to take out that 29. He's still dirt tracking it here off turn number 4. Those tires on that Logitech G Altus machine have to be screaming right now.
Absolutely. You got to think right now, again, with Charlotte's surface, you know, you wouldn't really expect it to be as much of a handful as it really is, but you can see it right here. I mean, not only are you battling, you know, the drivers around you right now, but you are really just trying to control that truck, keep it in shape, make sure that you don't wreck yourself, wreck others around you, and it's really just, these trucks got to be a handful right now and got to be begging for some fresh tires.
And here's Eberhardt entering the fray. Remember, he's multiple laps down. He pitted to get tires. That's why he's slicing and dicing his way through the field. He's actually only 1 down, and he would be the free pass if we were to get a caution right on board as he tries to get by Connor Horn. He's got the 2 of Tommy Gossett right in front of him. He's going to get all over the back door of that, too.
Well, he had to check up there a little bit as, it was really close to the outside of Daniel Eberhardt. I think that was Brandon Howe who got loose,
yep.
But this is where you've got to go if you're Daniel Eberhardt. Take advantage of the fresh tires. He came down after he got spun. He was like, you know what? I've lost all this track position. I might as well come down and take the gamble and see if this goes green the rest of the way and make this work out for me anyway. So he came down, and he's got to make the moves here to take advantage of these fresh tires, because there will come a point where the fresh rubber falls off and the differences in lap times aren't as great as they're going to wreck in turn 4. Just about. It was close with Liam Sheen, and it was Tommy Gossett that got into the back of him there, Jacob.
Well, to be fair, Liam Sheen said in the middle of turn 3 that he was pitting. I'm not sure Tommy Gossett would have had much room to go, except straight into the back door of that machine, but he's able to make it to pit road safely and without incident. The leader, Christopher Hill, onto pit road, and I think it's about time that things get interesting. Mitchell Hunt, he's P6. Well, he said he was pitting, but he stays out for another lap.
Well, what did I tell you all about the way this might split here, Caleb? I said about 30 laps ago, if we go green and these drivers are going to try and split the final 60 laps, that should bring them down pit road right around lap 70. Where are we? Lap 70, and the leaders are coming in.
Oh my goodness, Max Brady there just about ended about 5 cars there. I mean, he took it through the turf, made it 4 wide on the entrance to 1, taking it 3 wide on the entrance to turn 3. That truck is absolutely on rails driving through all of these cars on old tires right now. And you got to think, if you're one of these trucks on fresh tires, you know, you got to be very careful with how you're taking this, because Max Brady almost not only ended his night, but about 4 others.
That's the risk of pitting for fresh tires and then just having no regard for human life once you get back onto the racetrack, like the driver Max Brady appears to have as he goes by the truck that just came off pit road and Joey Brown, and now Brown powers right on by him. A couple of trucks pitting just up the road. Jurgensen, Blake Bottoms is in, Caden Rush, Clayton Hoffman, all on pit road, this time by. Garrison Hogan continues to lead the way. Coming off turn number 2, black flag, Matt Rucci in the 23. And Garrison Hogan, he's going to make the call. He's coming in this time.
Still waiting for our top 14 to come in at least as they run from Hogan down to Jared Torres. As Hogan will make his way down to the inside. Agnell Phillip is going to come in. Eddie Kerner in for stops. Adam Cabot, I think, is going to be the first driver that stays out. And Cabot will assume the race lead at least for the next lap.
So Cabot has not pitted. Well, he did pit a little while ago, but under the caution, but he has not pitted since then. Same with Barrett Bonner, Christian Peterson, Christopher Cornell, Shane Williamson, and more. I heard Connor Horn say he was going to try and pit. And, of course, I can't find him on the racetrack. I don't think he actually made the call to come on to pit road, at least not yet. So the top 10 have yet to make a stop here to try and make it the distance. And things are getting very hairy, 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Oh, my goodness. Caleb, did you see Blake Bottoms and Christian Peterson there in the backstretch?
Yeah, I mean, there are just these little packs of trucks right now that haven't pitted, that are just getting absolutely flown by, and we just it's so insane watching these trucks. Yeah, Tommy Gossett just made it 3 wide on the entry to turn 1 right there. It's mainly Chris Wilhite and Brandon Hauff have been the main 2 trucks that have, been around all of this action, but they're just trying to hang on for dear life, and you see guys that have, just come down the pit lane absolutely flying around them. They got to be terrified right now.
That was the pass in the turf. He went 4 tires into the turf, came back and passed 2 trucks for the price of 1. Unbelievable.
But biggest thing now, if you're any of these drivers in the top 7 now that are left to come down pit road, I would assume if you're staying out this long, you're waiting and you're hoping that you might get a yellow flag. If you do, you trap about 10-ish trucks a lap down, you get to pit, you get the track position, you end up looking like a genius. The question is whether or not we'll get that yellow flag to reset this field and make the gamble pay off for the top 7 who might not necessarily have had the race winning speed. But I mean, hey, if you're running in the back, take a gamble on strategy, see what happens. I don't mind this call from any of them.
We might be a little too far past the point to draw a caution flag, but you never quite know. As Adam Cabot continues to lead, once things cycle around, Christopher Hill will be your race leader once again. He's got a second lead over Joey Brown. Max Brady has come around to be in the 3rd spot. Adam Cabot still has yet to come onto pit road.
But man, if you're Chris Wilhite right now, you got to think you're sitting P3 right now. This is, really the only time tonight that you've had an opportunity like this. Do you just ride it out? And 22 laps, yeah, that seems unthinkable, especially with the distance you've already gone. But you're fighting for your points life right now. This is 16 weeks worth of work that it all comes down to this call right here. So you just gotta think, if you're in his head right now, what's going on?
Cabot still staying out there, 44 lap old tires. He's driving a full 2 seconds off the pace of the guys that just pitted and that were the race leaders before they pitted. So he is just crawling around this racetrack, but he's still leading, and he's got 1.5 seconds over Christopher Cornell, who's closing him in. Cornell has yet to pit.
The number you really need to be watching is 11.8 now, 7 seconds. 11.7, that's the gap from Adam Cabot, leader on old tires, to Christopher Hill, who's the first driver that has already come down pit road in this field, currently running in 7th as it stands. So you look at the lap times here, it looks like it's about maybe half a second per lap for Chris Hill, somewhere in the ballpark of maybe less than that. So, maybe a little bit more than that, actually, as I look at this. Maybe closer to a full second. So we'll see how these tires fall off. But my gut tells me if Adam Cabot doesn't come down within the next 10 laps, that Christopher Hill may be there anyway.
Cabot pitting this lap. Here comes Christian Peterson on fresh tires. He goes by, and now Cabot's got to crank it all the way down to the bottom. Now he's a liar. I must be just going crazy. I thought he said he was pitting. He stays out. How about the battle, though, for the proverbial lead once things cycle around? Joey Brown has caught Christopher Hill. The gap is 0.3 of a second and closing. Justin Levine, the lap truck, was in between these two, and now he's gotten by Hill and is really slowing him down.
You can see now, look at Joey Brown heading up to the high line there just to try and get a little bit more air on the nose of his truck. He's not afraid to experiment and try something a little bit different, and I think that might be part of the reason why he's been able to close in on Christopher Hill. He's been able to utilize the aerodynamic advantages of not following directly behind someone to just clip off a 10th here, 10th there, 10th here, and 10th there, and now all of a sudden it's, we're not even talking tenths of a second, we're talking truck lengths at best.
They were 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. Mitchell Hunt, Caden Rush, and Agnell Phillip. They made it work, but that was scary for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, 17 laps to go right now. If you're Chris Wilhite, you got to be terrified right now. Just watching that number in your black box tick down little by little. Actually, not even little by little at this point. I mean, it's just chunks of time being taken out per lap. Just hoping for a caution here, just something that you can, hopefully just salvage something out of this. I mean, you are just bleeding lap time right now. And, fortunately you got that time gap on your side, but, for 16 laps, you can't think it lasts that long.
Jared Torres just got blown by Brown and Hill. So, move them up into 6th and 7th, and there was more spots up the road. And Jeremy B. Davis, and he's going to get caught here in the next lap or two. Adam Cabot continues to stay out, though, and just try and push the envelope as much as he possibly can, praying for a caution to put himself in potential to pick up a win as Joey Brown gets by Chris Hill, and he's going to use the 16 as a pick coming off turn 4 of Jeremy B. Davis. What a move by Joey Brown, and he's going to take over the provisional race lead once Hoff, Wilhite, Cornell, and Cabot pit.
That was so well executed from Joey Brown, and he set it up so that Jeremy Davis became the pick in the trickiest place to pass on the racetrack too. I think that's what makes it all the more impressive and effective. It was right here a lap ago on the exit of turn 4, which is by a massive margin the narrowest part of this racetrack. So really smart work there from Joey Brown to make things happen as Cornell and Half come down pit road, and it leaves us just Cabot and Wilhite as the two that stay out on the racetrack. As now here comes Christopher Hill trying to answer back and fight to the inside of Joey Brown for what is now third, but could be the race lead.
Yeah, this battle is not done yet. Christopher Hill is going to do everything in his power here. Try and get by this 7 machine and put on a fight for these last 12 laps. Of course, Hill already locked in. Brown already locked out.
Yeah, I mean, watching this right here, looking at Christopher Hill, they're, about 19, 20 laps into this run. And, in the last 10 laps, even the last 5 laps, the amount of time they were making up, it's just really started to taper off. I mean, looking at lap times right now, 5 laps ago, they were running about half a second faster than they are now. And some of that can be attributed to being side by side, being in the midst of that battle. But you got to think now, too, when is that fall off really going to affect these two? And, right now, just can Caden Hill make something work to try to get around Joey Brown?
Wilhite and Cabot pit. Joey Brown is the race leader with 10 laps to go. Let's check in one last time. Third split, Blake McCandless, what you got?
Thank you, Jacob. Here in third split, things going pretty tame so far. Everybody's kind of strung out in a single file line. You look at about your top 5 that are largely in very good position. Daniel Smallwood, Matt Forcappa have kind of traded the lead back and forth a number of times, dominated this event. 14 laps to go here on lap 87. Alex Bergeron just outside the cut line. He's running in 6th, looking to get a lot of points here, and actually he's going to get in a side-by-side battle with David Schildhaus for that 6th position. Another driver who is about 60 points above that cut line that could very much use a run of 6th or 7th. That should be enough to get David Schildhaus into round 2. You have Colton Salick up in the top 10. He is well locked in, but further on back, Joseph Galata right now, just behind the cut line. He runs in 26th with a little bit of damage. Something drastic is going to have to happen. We covered Brian Blackford a little bit earlier. Was in a pretty decent position around the top 40 in these overall points, but currently runs 2 laps down in a 29th position. So definitely going to hurt him. So just a couple spots left out here for these drivers, and everybody here at third split, I'd say most of them are out, but still a lot left to be determined in these closing laps.
Joey Brown just continues to scoot away from Christopher Hill. All things looking number 7. I know we were in Las Vegas a while ago, but he's hit the jackpot right about now. 7 laps to go. And he continues to pull away 0.2 quicker that last time by over Christopher Hill. How about Clayton Hoffman in third?
Yeah, a lot of drivers who just have no pressure whatsoever. Just going out and having a great run. Between Brown and Hoffman and Caden Rush, even just the same. And Mitchell Hunt, same sort of boat. All drivers that shouldn't make an appearance in round 2 in yet. If they're going out tonight, they're going out on a high, no question about it.
So Joey Brown, and I know there is some dispute about this. The points don't add up. He has 3 wins already this season. He won at Atlanta, he won at Richmond, he won the last race at Kansas. But his other finishes, 27th at Daytona, 33rd at Las Vegas, 29th at Bristol, 25th at Dover. Even with the drop, he is on the outside in 78th, 42 points behind the cut line. And it's just impossible for him to get in the way things look. I don't want to be eating crow on this, but based off the math that has been presented to us, he's out.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what this qualifying round is all about. It's just about consistency. 3 wins, along with some poor finishes, it can put you out, pretty easily. It's just all about making sure that your waves aren't, the highs and the lows aren't as extreme, and that you're just, consistently there every week. And that's, one of the most fun parts about it. Just one of those challenges. You just got to be up, somewhere in the middle ground, and you'll be good.
Blake McCandless, quick hit for us.
Well, and Jacob, I was just going to make a quick note on that. As somebody that went through this process last year, qualified into round 2, and eventually went on to the eNASCAR Contender Series in 2021. The biggest thing that these drivers have to worry about is that consistency. We know Joey Brown has a number of wins, and even I remember a buddy of mine, David Schildhaus, had, I think, 3 wins in round 1 last year and didn't advance. This is one of those rare instances where we've gotten to formats that reward winning, where you get bonus points. This is not one of those rounds. It is all about consistency. Consistency. You'd rather take a bunch of top 10s, top 5s over, obviously having wins, but also having those really rough finishes. So that is the name of the game here in this Road to Pro Series. You get to brag if you win, but as far as the points are concerned, it is all about getting those consistent finishes.
Through 3 and 4, here comes Joey Brown. Even though he's on the outside, coming to the white flag to pick up his 4th win on the season. 1 lap to go here from Charlotte. He's got
caution here in
lead.
3rd split with 6 to go. Michael Gonzalez gets turned by Timmy Holmes. And that will change things up quite significantly here with 5 to go. Michael Gonzalez sitting 59th, 64 above the cut line as we speak. And his truck is destroyed.
Brown. Here comes Brown, Blake. I think we're going to join you in 3rd split here in a moment. Joey Brown wins 2nd split at Charlotte, 4th win on the season.
Beautiful work. Beautiful work there from Joey Brown, especially in the second half of this race, to manage those runs and manage the pit stops and come away victorious at Charlotte. Also worth noting that wreck that Blake was talking about happened right around sort of back into the top 10 on the racetrack. So you mentioned Michael Gonzalez. He was having a good run. He was top 10 when that all took place. So that could shake up things in the points in the 3rd split too.
Let's run through our results rather quickly. Joey Brown, your race winner, and we'll see if we can get interviews with anybody from this 2nd split. Joey Brown, the winner. Christopher Hill finishes in the 2nd position. Clayton Hoffman 3rd. Garrison Hogan 4th. Wyatt Tinsley, a finish he needed, P5. Anglo Phillips 6th. Blake Bottom 7th. Caden Rush 8th. Eddie Kerner 9th. A good rebound for him. Mitchell Hunt rounds out the top 10, James.
11th in this race went to Max Brady. Nathan Jurgensen finished in 12th. 13th was Cody Terlindi. Kevin King brought it home 14th. James Wenzel finished in the 15th spot. 16th went to Ryan Doucette. Carter Horn was 17th. 18th was Tommy Gossett. Michael Bumgarner finished in 19th, and Landon Mills completed the top 20, Caleb.
Yeah, we'll take a look through at the rest of the color-coordinated guys. You see Barrett Bonner in red, Christian Peterson in 22nd. Then we got Liam Sheen, not a great night, not a great run for him tonight. Daniel Eberhardt, who was involved in some accidents earlier. Connor Sean, Kevin Champagne in 26th. Shane Williamson, a rough run for him tonight in 27th. Justin Levine in 28th. Adam Cabot in 29th. And then Chris Cornell in P30.
And the rest of the field, you'll see him here. Already got out of the session, waiting for it to change. There it goes. Brandon Hoff, Chris Wilhite, heartbreak for Wilhite, trapped a lap down in 32nd. Jared Torres, Matt Rucci, Jeremy B. Davis. For Wilhite, he might be on the way out. With that result,
I would feel pretty confident in saying, given that he was only 11 points above the cut line, came into tonight's 69th. I won't say it's impossible, but I don't think it looks good.
Yeah, don't mind the scramble here. We're trying to switch things around. We're moving over to third split since we got the caution. We're not done yet, and of course we'll be with you as the rest of the races wrap up and as we see the points completely settle around. So don't go anywhere because we're not. As we're trying to find, I can't find sessions. Why? 663 is what we're going to. That might be why.
663 will be third split. And as far as an update on that race, we will be having our first attempt at overtime in a green-white checkered. As it stands right now, everybody but Dalton Millam and Brandon Coppinger came down pit road. Those two drivers who were out, eliminated from the top 70, are staying out. Smallwood, Avila, Keene, Fort Kappa, Coker, Schildhouse, Bergeron, and Stravato right now your top 10. So we'll see how that works out.
Coming in hot. All right, so where are we? Give us the picture. Where's everybody at right now? So obviously, since we can't see.
Well, the picture right now, as it stands, I can't go into detail about the points. I don't know exactly. Obviously, you guys wrapped up second split. Don't have as much confirmation on what's going on with first split. You also have fourth split as well. At least I can look at a stream here. Trevor Perry, it looks like Jackson Crowder, Tanner Love, Ethan Lane, Kyler Wynn, Derek Lemke, your top 5 in that split. They are also under caution right now on lap 96. They're going to come to 2 to green this time, so they'll have a natural green, white checkered, I suppose, so won't count against an overtime attempt. But a lot of these races coming down to the wire.
Now, points have shuffled, obviously, because some splits are done. First split is done. Second split is done. So that's why it might appear that some people are in right now. But you got to keep in mind that everybody else still has to get through, because David Schildhouse hasn't finished yet. He's 17 points out. Obviously, that's going to change once they make it through. So the field right now, giving you the picture on where everybody's at on the racetrack. The field down the back straightaway, headed to turn 3, behind the pace car, coming to the restart.
Most important thing here, though, Jacob Hits, very quickly before they go green, Dalton Milam, Brandon Coppinger stayed out. They run first and second. Everybody else came down pit road for tires. So
they're going to get eaten alive, is what you're telling me.
Maybe, or we could see another wreck. Who knows?
Pace car is in. We'll go radio style here with you as Coppinger and Dalton Millam bring us down. Green flag in the air. Overtime attempt, 1 of 3. The inside line with Millam doesn't get going. He has to throw the block, and we've got trouble in the back. Caution is out because they're wrecking 5 feet past the start-finish line. The 29 of Ty Bass got turned around in the outside line by the 30 of Channing Ballou. Also involved Timmy Holmes. He got turned back at the racetrack. That sent Carson Bowers in the 27 into the outside wall, and the 7 of Jason Maines also piles it in. So we go about 15 feet past the start-finish line and wind up now at overtime number 2, which may have been perfect for Zach Johnson to pull the stream up. They all look white. Paint schemes will load in. This was the perfect scenario. Blake, thank you. I think we're going to send you now to fourth split just in case. And, and kind of pick up where we left off if that thing is still going. So here we are in second, or the third split. And Brendan John Kohler makes a... Yes, Brendan John Kohler makes a good point.
Caution fourth split. And now they are going to go to green-white checkered overtime. Wreck in the back of the field. I can't see it because I'm loading in. I'm just looking at Trevor Perry's stream, Puck Vanek on Twitch. And caution comes out, and they will have their first attempt at a green-white checkered.
As I mentioned, Brendan John Kohler makes a good point. All thanks to Garrett Mashburn for doing the points, the spreadsheet, being as quick as he can, and getting things just rolling as things are shifting live. And really making our lives easier. And there you see a lot of yellow. Smallwood, Avila, Forkapa, Schildhaus, Bergeron, Baloo. Of course, he was involved in that accident, so not a good look for him. And of course, points have shifted now, so I can't even tell you where he would have been at before the other splits were said and done.
How much pressure, though, and how tense it's going to be for everybody in the top 10, especially when you consider that half of the top 10 haven't locked their way into the top 70 yet. There's so much on the line for these drivers, and even some of the ones a little bit further back who had the damage. I won't rule out the possibility, especially since your front two are on old tires, that it could go crazy, and, we could see some stuff. I think it's the easiest way to put it here on the second attempt of 3 at a green-white checkered finish.
Let's see if we make it past the start-finish line this time. So I believe we're coming to 1 to green here. This time. So Coppinger and Miller will be side by side. I would assume Coppinger would pick the inside. And then the outside would go to Millam. Schildhaus sits in position number 7 in that 4 machine. Got to keep an eye out for him, as we do indeed not get 1 lap to green. What? Well, Caleb Hoffman's back with us now. Caleb, getting set here eventually for the restart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right now, 3 laps to go. We weren't faced with this predicament in second split, but I mean, right here, you got to restart. You got guys that have just pitted on fresh tires. Everything comes down to right here. You see Daniel Smallwood, Johnny Avila right here in P3 and 4. You almost got to think that they're in the catbird seat to make something happen here. I mean, even looking back at some of these other guys, so you can see yellow coated on the ticker. Just, right now, all bets are off on, getting around these leaders, just making sure that you're locked into this next round. Every position at this point matters.
Sorry, Zach is giving us new tools here as we're live. No, I think he's just on the apron, that 35. I believe he's just on the apron to have some fun there. Thomas Keene, who is already on the outside. So Schildhaus right now. Here you see our upcoming events. The All-Star on Saturday. I don't know who in the world's going to be here for that. Winsdale is back in a couple of weeks. Sunday, June 5th, 7:30. And then two weekends from now, the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series Gateway on bottom split at its usual time, Saturday 10 o'clock. And then Sunday at 8:30, after Winsdale, Daytona Road Course. So Schildhaus 20 points out in third split. I would imagine, At this point, he just has to finish, and he should be in.
Anything here within the top 10, I think you're in good shape. So if he can maintain track position, he'll be all right. But again, friendly reminder, old tires for Dalton Milam and Brandon Coppinger, and that will make this green-white checker very interesting, especially if they get going.
Here we go. Field coming through 3 and 4, running for the restart. Overtime attempt number 2 of 3. Coppinger on the inside. You've got Milam on the outside. Here we go. Green flag, another late restart. Everybody up through the gears. And through the back half of the field, they're already 4 wide going into turn number 1. And they are wrecking. Connor Hale is around. Caution is out. Dustin Johnson is completely sideways, and he got wedged 4 wide. They were stacking up in front of him, and he got run over from behind and turned into the outside wall. And Dustin Johnson's luck runs out. He was 16th at the time, and Johnson, he is somebody that, well, on the cut line, or close to it.
I will level. I'm not necessarily thinking we're going to see this get run out all the way to the end.
Well, how about, here's the replay. Yeah, they just all stacked up. They were 4 wide behind him. Somebody checked up. The 32 checked up, and then the truck behind him did not. Another angle. And it's calamity. Back half of the field. And every point matters back here. Let's check in with Blake McCandless in 4th split. See what's going on, Blake.
Well, it looks like they're coming out of turn 4 right now. And I believe it is going to be Jackson Crowder that is going to get the win here in 4th split on lap 104. Lane loses a couple of spots, or just 1 spot rather, as Tanner Love will come in 2nd. Ethan Lane 3rd, Kyler Wynn 4th, Derek Lemke, Trevor Perry, Todd Cray, Dylan Parker, Cody Harris, and Nick Morse rounds out your top 10. So a couple of runs that some drivers really needed. I believe that'll put Perry in. Crowder was already well in, I believe. Ethan Lane as well.
Now Lemke is the wild card here because he was the last man that had a shot to make it. You said he finished 4th?
He finished 5th, Lemke did.
5th in 4th split. Yee, that'll
put you close.
Yeah, I think if there's anybody who needs to be worried, it's Chris Wilhite. Hands down, no question.
Yeah.
With the way he finished in the race that we had to start off the night, would not totally rule it out of the realm of possibility that Lemke and Wilhite swap places in the top 70.
Perhaps the biggest thing that happened here on the last lap, Dalton Cowden got drove through by Nick Morse. Cowden was on the outside, and he needed a good finish, and unfortunately on the last corner, gets spun around by Nick Morse.
Still under caution. We're now covering 3rd split here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Lemke may have gotten himself in. Maybe.
I think it's close. I think it's going to be really, really close.
Yeah. 4th split is definitely where he needed to be. The lowest he could have been and still made it, I assume he would have had to have won, would have been 5th split. 6th split on back, and he wouldn't have been able to make it enough points.
Right.
So. Huh.
And just looking right now, I mean, with the amount of yellow names that we have kind of, towards the back, you got to think we see another wreck of some sort here. You know, there might not be a caution for it, considering we're on our third attempt at a green white checker here. But, you know, you got to think that it's going to be, you know, everything, all hands are off basically at the back of the field. You know, just trying to make through whatever potential wreck comes up on this restart, because you got to think there's going to be at least one. So it's just, you know, these guys are just in survival mode, trying to garner any position they can to, you know, boost their chances of making it into this top 70.
I think Landon Huffman will make it. Ooh, 23rd tonight in first split for Landon. He currently sits 64th with the drop. Keep in mind, this is still without results from third split at the very least. Obviously, since it's still going on. One lap till we get the last restart here of this third split.
Lights are off on the pace car. One more attempt at a green-white checker finish. The next flag, if it is yellow, will end the race. Otherwise, you know, we get the white, we'll race all the way around. But I think it's a very legitimate question as to whether or not we're going to complete this first lap on the restart.
We haven't done it yet.
Going to be interesting here, and let's also underscore that this is a situation where if you get a bad restart and lose 2-3 spots, that could legitimately make the difference. Let's not forget that either, because the first restart they wrecked exit the quad oval. The second restart they wrecked coming into one, so who knows how far we're going to get here.
Coming through 3 and 4, ready for the restart. Last chance we get here in third split. Coppinger on the inside, Millum on the outside, bringing us down to the restart zone. Green flag. Oh, and a big stack up from Keene on back. That's going to hurt Kocher. They're 3 wide, 1 in the grass. That's Stravato. They're 3 wide all the way through to 1.
Continuing to roll. Coppinger's got the inside lane. He's still in good shape there. All 6s and 7s back there. Contact in the middle of the straightaway there. That was for about second or third, but they're still racing back to the line.
A lot of blocking in 3, and there goes the 33. Millum up into the wall. Caution's out. Race is over. Meanwhile, they're wrecking up at the front. Daniel Smallwood made the pass for the lead and gets turned coming off turn 4.
Oh my goodness. Where do we go with this?
Drama at the caution. I don't know if Smallwood was ahead of the 24. I don't think he was when the caution came out. But he got loose trying to go around the outside and then made contact with Coppinger and got turned down basically to the front stretch chicane and through the turf as the 33 big blocks from Dalton Millum. And that puts him up and into the wall and brings out the caution on the last attempt at a green-white checker. They were also wrecking further back. Matt Kocher got turned around. They were packing into each other all the way through turns 3 and 4. A huge stack up.
So we think Brandon Coppinger wins, but I am going to legitimately wait for iRacing timing is going to settle out and figure out where everybody lands here.
Black flag Jason Maines. He's back in 27th. Coppinger crosses the line, and he's already burning it down. He's got to be careful that he doesn't get a black flag. He's burning it down in front of the field in turn 1. That's it, race is over. Brandon Coppinger does win this split.
A lot of people not happy with Coppinger. I'm hearing, I'm seeing. I'd be curious to go back and restart and see what happened.
Smallwood finishes 18th after all of that. And the 33, he finishes 8th. Wow, so Smallwood getting turned after the caution goes from 2nd all the way back to 18th.
Yeah. I I think the replay speaks for itself with regards to Coppinger and Smallwood.
Daniel Smallwood was 50th, or sits 50th rather, so I believe he's going to make it in. That's the way it looks. And, yeah, none of this is official yet as far as points are concerned, because Joey Brown sits 49th. So, not sure where we're at. Here's results from Split 3. Brandon Coppinger, the winner. Alex Bergeron in second. Matt Forkapa in third. Johnny Avila, fourth. Thomas Keene, fifth. Christian Budd, sixth. AJ Stravado in seventh. Dalton Milliman, eighth. Matt Kocher, ninth. Joseph Galata finishes in 10th. And as of now, Galata looks to be in. Landon Huffman is going to be out. Huffman confirmed out. He's back in 79th. Remember, Huffman was the cutoff line coming into the weekend. Millam looks like he's going to be potentially out. He sits 78th. Maybe that's why he was blocking so much.
Unofficially, two things worth noting here. Hits. The first, remember how I talked about how Chris Wilhite and Derek Lemke may end up swapping spots just based off of his finish? Lo and behold, unofficially, that's what we've got. Lemke in 69th, Wilhite in 83rd, and Timmy Pacioli from our math is the last driver that we have in. Of course, this is all unofficial. Big thanks to Garrett Mashburn and his points chart for helping us try and sort this out in real time as best we can. But as of now, Timmy Pacioli beats Thomas Keene out by 2 points for the final spot in the top 70.
We've got to be missing splits or something. Sixth and eighth are left. 6, 6, 8. So that would have been eighth split. I think. 7th or 8th. Yeah, so the only ones left, 668 and 670. So 8th and 10th, it looks. 8th and 10th. Okay, so 8th just wrapped up, or 10th just wrapped up. 8th is still working on it. I don't know if there's anybody in that 8th split that would have a chance. I think we're eating crow tonight, gentlemen. Because right now, I've got Joey Brown, P49 with the drop. 118 points to the good.
Imperfect science.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just, it's very malleable with how it works out here. Just waiting for it to kind of cement and finalize for the most part.
However we read off the ones that we knew were coming into tonight, good. Or not. Never mind, I take that back. We're about to do it, and then they tweak. Again, all real time.
Yeah.
All real-time changes here. So
Tucker Minter looks like he will be the winner of round 1. With the drop, 2,650 points, a win at Kansas, third tonight at Charlotte. He had a third back at Atlanta. His worst finish is the drop. Las Vegas, 33rd. Sixth back at Daytona, third at Atlanta, as I mentioned. He also won Richmond, second at Bristol, eighth at Dover, all top split. Tucker Minter.
Blake's point about consistency, perfect example right there. His finishes outside the drop, 6th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 8th, 1st, 3rd. All top 10s. That's how you get to round 2.
Mm-hmm.
Easy, simple as.
And of course, Minter made it to round 2 a season ago. We saw him in a couple of races that we covered last year. Seth DeMerchant, 2nd. Brandon McKissick, 3rd. Jordy Lopez Jr., 4th. Parker White, 5th. He won top split tonight, accompanying his Bristol win. Andrew Navarro, 6th. Dalton Collins is 7th. Christopher Hill, 8th. Michael Cozy Jr., 9th. Kenny Brady, your top 10 in points, the way it looks right now. Still waiting on official confirmation as far as this is concerned. 8th split just wrapped up, so we are in the home stretch as far as figuring out who's in, who's out. But if Garrett Mashburn's sheet is anything close to accurate, swing and a miss on Joey Brown, huh? Big time swing and a miss.
Yeah, just looking through here, some of the names that would miss out. Thomas Keane, Kyle Edgar, Michael Gonzalez, Dylan Parker, Zach McSwain, Ryan Andrew, Mitchell Hunt, Dalton Milam, Landon Huffman, Caden Rush, Ryan Hill, Dylan Reed, Chris Wilhite, Alexander Russell, Dalton Cowden, Nick Morris, Matt Danson, Landon Mills, Corey Carpenter, Justin Belmonte, Clayton Hoffman, Will Cooley, Jordan Kuntz, Justin Levine, Dylan Jones, Adam Cabot, Alex McCollum, Justin Patello, Michael Finlayson, Eric Wineland, Adam Benefield, just all some of the names. Some of those are more certain than others, in fairness, but yes.
I appreciate that the link that I clicked on to look at the points for this series took me to Contender from last year.
Cute. Very
all right,
cute.
so points look to be up on the website. Well, it's close. Let's see. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, cut line isn't.
We're
official.
still waiting for updates here. Minter is champion though of round 1.
Yes.
I think seems pretty nailed on. That I think we can say with decent certainty.
A little questionable about the rest of the top 3 between McKissick and DeMerchant because we've got them flip-flopped between what official points show and what Mashburn's point show. This is the fun, I guess we can call it, of the cut lines, especially when you're cutting down so many people. It's a lot easier when the second round comes around because you're only dealing with 70 guys. And you know, normally going in the last race, it's a little more predictable to find out who's in and who's out than the chaos that unfolds here.
Phillies won, by the way.
Yes, Phillies did win. They don't get swept by the Braves. They also won the first game of the series. So take that. And now they get to go play the Mets and hopefully not die. So official points are not counting the drop yet, which makes sense. Because it's counting 8 weeks for Tucker Minter, who made 8 starts, and he should only count 7. So, waiting on that to kick in. Again, some of those people that are confirmed out at this point. Landon Huffman, he was the cut line. 2 bad finishes back-to-back. 27th at Kansas, 23rd tonight. He is out. Caden Rush, he is out. He finished 8th in our split tonight. He had a couple of bad finishes in a row. 33rd at Bristol, 26th at Dover. He's out. Chris Wilhite, we talked about him. He's long gone, back in the 83rd spot for the time being. Christian Budd, familiar name for those that remember last year. He had a solid finish tonight, 6th in 3rd split. He had a couple of bad finishes to start the year, though. 34th at Daytona, 29th at Atlanta, 27th at Bristol. He's out. Matt Danson, out. Finished 26th tonight. Corey Carpenter, he won Las Vegas and Atlanta, but he did not show up to Kansas and Charlotte. He also had a bad finish at Dover, finished 30th. So Carpenter is out. Clayton Hoffman is out. Familiar name from tonight. Barrett Bonner, out. Justin Levine, out. Adam Cabot, as we mentioned, we expected he would be out, and he is. Jason Maines is out. We saw him in that third split. Garrett Conrath won the first race of the year. Conrath won Daytona in our split. He skipped the last 3 races. He's out. Michael P. Frisch is out. 145th, a rough go for Frisch. He was dangerously close. Did he make contender?
He might have. Last year,
He was close to making it. I know he made the second
I can
round.
remember off the top of my head.
28th at Daytona, 21st at Vegas, 13th at Atlanta, 25th at Richmond. He finished 9th at Bristol. Then he was in top split for Dover and Kansas, 16th and 33rd. He didn't even bother showing up tonight at Charlotte. Frisch out.
Testament to just how tough this is and just how much of a gauntlet this is. I think that's the hardest thing that people don't really understand, especially about first round of qualifying series. Yes, we know it's difficult to get to the Coke Series, but when you compete against thousands of other drivers and you see it here, especially at the beginning of the spring, I think it really underscores just how hard this is to pull off.
Chandler Parsons, we saw him in a couple of splits with us. He skipped the last 3 weeks. He's out. Logan Helton, we saw him a couple times as well. He is out. And Landon S. Huffman, yeah, he's also out. I remember there was a point where we were worried about having Landon and Landon. Well, we have neither. The way this shapes out here. Talk about upcoming once again here. So the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series, Saturday, 10 o'clock for the All-Star race at the LA Coliseum. Then Winstel is next Sunday. Next Sunday at 8:30. Not next Sunday. Well, yeah. Yeah, no, next Sunday. I'm right, and I didn't even realize it. Next Sunday, that's June 5th, I think. 7:30 start. Right after that is the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series from Daytona Road Course. They're also running a Gateway at their usual time Saturday night. That's on Bottom Split. Everything else here on FTF.GG. And, of course, we take a little vacation before we get to the second round of the qualifying iRacing series. Let's see. Well, I guess we can at least do our final thoughts here, and if something dramatically changes, we can break in and talk about it. But nonetheless, guys, that's it. Round 1 is complete. Just got to sift out the points debacle, and then we're all set, and then we can all move on and go to sleep. But let's talk about the race that we saw tonight. Nonetheless, pretty clean, all things considered. That third split Got a little rough there, rough around the edges at the end. We kept it pretty clean with just that one yellow.
Our split was a lot of fun, I think. Really interesting to see the way that caution around lap, call it, 30, 40 or so, changed the race and shifted strategy for everybody. And then just a really nice job of management by Joey Brown, who will now find himself in round 2 with a win under his belt. That certainly helps. The question will be whether or not anybody decides to go on a Donovan Strauss-esque run in round 2. Remember, Strauss was lights out brilliant in round 2 of the qualifying series last year, en route to an eventual bid to the Coke Series in 2022. So I'll be curious to see if there are any characters of that sort of ilk that may jump into the picture. And then you look at the schedule that we have in round 2. Mid-Ohio, Pocono, Michigan, Indianapolis Raceway Park, Darlington, Bristol on the dirt, and then we wrap September 29th at Texas. So we're off throughout all of June. We'll be back on July 7th for round 2. So you've got a little bit of a breather on your Thursday nights if need be. But usually you see the drivers who are most likely going to be forces in the Contender Series start to make moves in round 2. And I think by the time we wrap, we should have a good hunch as to what drivers may have a shot of coming out of this year's qualifying process and end up going all the way through Contender and into Coke for 2023.
I was going to talk about that schedule as well for the second round. Really a mixed bag. Dirt, road course. You got the super speedway-esque racetracks like Pocono and Michigan, and then you go to a track where nobody can pass in Texas, so a lot of variety going into this second round, and it's going to make these drivers think fast on their feet, Caleb.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we even saw an element of that tonight. You know, this qualifying round has just, you know, it's had majority, you know, we've had a few different tracks sprinkled in there, but, you know, you have your 1.5, your quad ovals, you know, that, you know, on the short one really behave as, you know, it almost feels like a super speedway-esque. Momentum is everything. You know, your tires are fresh. You're just flat out trying to find places to go with your truck. And then, you know, as you get later into that run, again, as we saw tonight, tires got worn down. It was a battle between, you know, your tires, managing you know, how you were driving the track, managing, you know, how you were driving around everybody else. And now, as you said, we go to a completely different style of racetrack. We open at Mid-Ohio, you know, at a road course. And, you know, I feel like, you know, once we start to see that variety in the schedule, you know, that's when you will, you know, really start to see the cream rise to the top. Guys that, you know, can really handle any different type of variety of racetrack. And, you know, round 2 is going to be so important just because of that. You're going to see guys who are, you know, just the best of the best start to separate themselves from everybody else in the top 70. So really excited to get down to that. But this qualifying round, what a round it's been. It's been a lot of fun to, you know, be here watching it every week.
And we start on that road course at Mid-Ohio. We kind of did it in the middle of the season last year. Here are the points. Enjoy. Tucker Minter on top. Then DeMerchant and McKissick. Now, these are unofficial. Michael Cozy Jr. there in 9th. Agnell Phillip, we saw him a lot this season. He finishes in 20th. Omar Diallo there in 13th. Daniel Eberhardt in the 15th spot. Brendan John Kohler, who won 2 weeks ago at Kansas, in the 16th spot. There's a lot of Logitech G Altus on this page. Minter, DeMerchant, Cozy, Peterson.
And to be fair, it's I think it may be a harsh question, but a fair one, given how good they were in the qualifying series and then how they just didn't really bring a lot of speed to Contender. I think there are a lot of questions that we can ask of Logitech G Altus in the second round of the qualifying series. And then if they advance people into Contender, you know, for all the strength that we know that organization has, they will need to try and find some speed, I think, this time around. And I think there's a lot that you're going to find out with regards to just what they are capable of over the course of the next 7 or 8 months.
And there, Joey Brown, P49. Points don't lie. David Shieldhouse in, 56th. He'll move on. Will Klein in. Trevor Perry. Here's the unofficial cut. Tanner Love in. Galata in. Blackford, dangerous, but in. Kyler Wynn is in. So is Horn. Channing Ballou in. Liam Sheen makes the cut. Dustin Johnson makes the cut. Remember, we saw him spin there late in that third split race. Derek Lemke in by the skin of his teeth, and Timmy Pacioli in by 2 points over Thomas Keene. Pacioli's the cut. Everybody on the right that's in red, unofficially, out. Edgar, Gonzalez, Parker, McSwain, Andrew, Hunt, Millam, Huffman, Rush, all going home.
Yeah, and I mean, as we make our way through the projections here, I mean, just the amount of, guys who we've seen have race-winning speed week in, week out, that just, some of these weeks just weren't able to piece runs together. That week by itself, you get the drop, but anything outside of that, it really goes to show you just how important consistency is week in, week out. Because just one bad week here, as you can see by some of the names in red there, it can really kill your run to make Coke.
So, that's it. We move on. We'll see you in about a month. So many people to thank. Zach Johnson, our producer, pushing the buttons all year long. He's done a great job. He's kept us on track, and he's kept us looking good. Justin Malillo, who's normally on pit road. Of course, he's on his way to Charlotte tonight. That's why we had Blake McCandless stand in for him. For all my partners this season, including Caleb Hoffman and James Pike, I'm Jacob Hitz. Thanks so much for joining us. We get a month off. Enjoy your vacation. July 7th, round 2 kicks off from Mid-Ohio. See you then.